I am a comics journalist. It's a crowded field where not many people get paid anything at all. And I think at the very least, having a doctorate gives you an extra amount of gravitas. It shows that you've really engaged with the subject and that you've really delved into it deeply in a way that perhaps people haven't.
I've learned more in the arts world, I suppose, which is what I've been trying to get into for years and years and years. So I've learned about museums. I've spent time at the V&A volunteering there and having an internship. So I've learned how to network and walk into a room with other people and not be petrified, and to be able to stand up in front of people and either give a lecture or a presentation or a talk. I'm not so frightened of doing that. I think doing a PhD definitely gives you that, just because you have to keep doing it.
In some ways, what I'm doing has reinforced to me and made me realise how important Black publishers are and why I need to be a publisher. And I've been on a conference before to talk about Black British publishing and why it's important. And I thought I did quite a good job at the conference. But after doing this research, I'm in a much stronger place to explain and talk about why I'm doing what I'm doing and why it's important what I'm doing, and how the research-based PhD links so totally into what is going on into the everyday, into the community, and into publishing.
I enjoy teaching. I've engaged with students for a number of years now, and more recently I've been teaching in the School of Architecture. I'm able to communicate some of the ideas that I've come across in my research about how architecture is incorporated into comics, and it also means I can keep that material fresh because I'm using my interests to communicate that material to a new generation. So yeah, I find being a PhD student is really useful because it feeds into so many other aspects of your life.
Somebody said they'd try and find out how I could get a post in the university in the Gambia. And they came out and said, well, I'm really sorry, but they won't accept you. I was like, why not? It's like, you don't have a PhD. And I was really quite surprised, but I thought to myself, just because it's a small country in West Africa and they're demanding a PhD, why shouldn't they? And I thought, okay, well then maybe I better think about doing one.
Somebody said that, by doing a PhD at our age, it just makes you even more unemployable. And I suppose maybe that's the point, in that you don't do a PhD to become employable. What it actually does is it solidifies your sense of entrepreneurship, maybe. Maybe it arms you better to go out into the world as a self-employed person, actually. So for me, it's definitely meant that I'm going to pursue a new model of working. I've actually decided to buy a business, but I would never have got to that point had I not stopped in order to undertake the PhD, because it gives you the time and space to look at things afresh.
As to what's next, it's funny because when you're doing your PhD, you're just trying to get it done. And so I think having been successful and got the PhD, I can now proceed with compiling all this material into a book. And the other obvious focus is to get the job to enable that to happen.
PhD students pick up a wide range of transferable skills through their studies, and not just the subject knowledge and the academic skills that you might think are most obvious. I think students demonstrate that they have skills of endurance, that they can really be trusted to take on a project and see it through to its final fruition. They're able to project manage. If you're able to manage a project of that duration and of that scale, you can manage other projects of similar duration, similar scale. I think being able to research in depth and to write at length, these are skills that many industries and many different settings would value, not just the academic world.